You know, the question has been asked, why should the church be involved in missions? And I think the answer to that is found in the beginning, in Genesis chapter 3, where after the fall of man, we see God deciding to do a very interesting thing. He keeps his routine. He still comes and walks in the cool of the day with mankind, but now man has fallen and there is sin in the world. That begins God's relentless pursuit for the salvation of mankind. And I think that's what missions is. It's joining God's heart in that place of wanting to see lost souls saved and knowing Jesus Christ. So then you might ask, okay, so then what does missions have to do with me? Well, I believe we all need to be open to God's call to share his love with those around us. Because of that, mission starts at home. If we aren't soul winners in our own backyard, how can we expect to be one somewhere in a foreign country? Because of that, we do outreaches locally as well. Missions at home, I guess you could call it. We go to the parks in the summertime for concerts in the park with our prayer station. And we also join up with Hope Central Watts out in Watts, California, once a month and are involved in their outreaches there. But maybe the Holy Spirit's tugging at your heart to go deeper, to go beyond our borders and our culture. My personal conviction is a great way to test that calling is to join us for one of our short-term missions trips. We go several times a year to Mexico for short weekends. We also take longer trips, a week to 10 days, to several of the church plants that we're involved in. And you might even say, well, I don't feel that calling. Still doesn't leave us without excuse. You can join a trip, and maybe God's waiting for you to take that step of faith. Like the Israelites at the Jordan, waiting for the priests to get their feet wet before the waters held back. And so God can confirm that calling to you by simply having you join one of our short-term teams. Another thing you can do is to literally go and visit and spend some time with one of our missionaries. Our supported missionaries are all over the world. We've got the Barrilero family in Mexicali, Mexico, as well as Pastor Juan Carlos Aguilar in El Hongo, Mexico. The Saunders, Chuck and Anita in Oxford, England. We also have the Pratt family that are there in Lviv, Ukraine, in this college town where they've planted a church in the city center. And also Jeff and Leila Rowensby in Hermosillo, Mexico, where they've been involved in a church plant as well as a children's home. And I know that any one of those missionaries would love to host you for as long as you're willing to serve. Then finally, if you might still say, I don't see how that involves me, we're still called to be senders. And as senders, we can support our missionaries through prayer, through caring for them when they're here stateside, and certainly through correspondence, because I've heard it said from a missionary, letters from home are like manna from heaven. So I encourage all of us, we need to be involved in missions, and here's some great ways that we can do it here at our church.